All right, let's begin today's chapter 228. Friends, before we start, don't forget to hit the like button. Meanwhile, on the other side, in the far north, chaos began to spread. Landslides were occurring at every turn, and the ground shook violently from intense seismic tremors. The earth itself was tearing open as if something from within were struggling to break free. And then, the moon rose. Cold, silent, terrifying. In its pale light, a colossal silhouette emerged. The massive beast at long last stood before them. There was no hesitation, Moana. There was no warning. In the very next instant, it attacked. On the other side, the soldiers of the far north stood ready, lined up in formation, but the moment their eyes fell upon that strange, terrifying creature, fear seized them. Their bodies began to tremble. Their courage crumbled. Instinct took over. They turned and fled, thinking only of their own survival, but it was already too late. In a single devastating move, the colossal beast launched a direct and lethal strike, annihilating everything that stood in its path. Suddenly, an attack. A direct, lethal strike aimed at a soldier. Just as the attack was about to land, a figure suddenly appeared. With a swift motion, a blade sliced through the air, fast, precise, and the attack was completely neutralized. Its impact vanished, as if it had never existed. Without wasting a single second, the figure issued a firm command. "Fall back! Everyone, return to the outpost immediately!" There was no hesitation. Uncle Two immediately stepped forward and activated a powerful defensive barrier, a shimmering shield of pure golden energy. It expanded outward, enveloping everyone within its protective glow. Every incoming attack was absorbed. Every sword, every force completely swallowed up. Then, just as the ability reached its limit, with a sharp blast, all the absorbed damage was unleashed, transforming into countless golden spears of light that rained down upon the enemies, striking with overwhelming force. For a moment, the battlefield lit up. But just then, Captain Lee and the rest of the team arrived, mounted upon their birds. For a brief moment, a glimmer of hope flickered in the soldiers' eyes. Yet it vanished just as swiftly. For deep down, everyone sensed. The monster had awakened. Not partially, not gradually, but completely. The air grew heavy, almost suffocating. Fear silently spread through their ranks. No one needed to voice it aloud anymore. This was no longer a battle they could win. In every heart, a single thought echoed. Run. Perhaps that is the only way to survive now. Uncle Two snapped in frustration, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Why are you all still here? If you stay, I'll be forced to focus on protecting you, and that monster will take advantage of it. Don't waste time here. Your mission is to get everyone out safely." His words carried both anger and urgency. Captain Lee immediately nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "Yes, sir." Without another moment to lose, the team began moving. Engines roared to life as the vehicles turned back. As they retreated, Captain Lee's voice rang out over the comms, firm and commanding. "All core units, fall back immediately to the first outpost. That's an order." Hearing this, no one hesitated. The soldiers obeyed at once, their fear now replaced with discipline. One by one, they began to withdraw, leaving the battlefield behind as the shadow of the awakened monster loomed ever closer. Suddenly, the colossal beast loomed directly before Uncle Two. Its red eyes glowed fiercely in the darkness, yet despite this, there was not a trace of fear on Uncle Two's face. Instead, his resolve hardened even further. This was the very moment he had been waiting for. It was precisely for this reason that he had been stationed at this outpost for so long. And yet, now that the creature had truly awakened, a faint tremor ran through his heart. For a fleeting instant, his resolve wavered. And in that very moment, the monster stirred. A terrifying crimson energy gathered within its eyes, the true power of the blood moon. The very next instant, it unleashed it. Two burning beams erupted outward, spreading like wings of destruction, slicing through everything that stood in their path. Anything that came into contact with that light instantly turned to dust. It could not be stopped. It could not be weakened. It could not be absorbed. As the attack descended, flames erupted, engulfing the entire area in a storm of devastation. Uncle Two was caught right in the midst of it. And yet, when the flames subsided, he was still standing there, completely unharmed, a feat that seemed all but impossible. Only his outer garments had been torn to shreds. For a moment, even he himself was taken aback. But then his eyes grew steely once more. With unyielding determination, he declared, "I will not let this monster advance a single step beyond the far north." For he knew, if it were to escape, the entire world would be doomed. And so he rose to his feet once again. A radiant light enveloped him. Even his vehicle began to glow with a dazzling light. "Then come," he roared, "face me." And in the very next heartbeat, like a streak of light, he lunged straight toward the blood moon. Seeing Uncle Two charge toward the blood moon, Captain Lee was shaken to his core. He couldn't believe it. How could someone be this fearless? It was as if the very idea of fear didn't exist within him. In that very moment, Uncle Two unleashed his power, Meteor. It was a terrifying ability. It consumed his own life force, turning it into a blazing golden meteor that struck with deadly force. During this attack, he became unstoppable. Nothing could block it, nothing could interrupt it, and every bit of damage it dealt was absolute. Captain Lee's heart pounded in fear. How can he fight alone, without any support? And then, the two forces collided. A massive surge of energy erupted, followed by a deafening explosion. Flames spread in all directions, the sky turned blood red, and every soldier nearby was scorched by the blast. The few who survived could only stare in disbelief. This is impossible. Suddenly, they saw Senior and his battle eagle crashing to the ground. Alarmed, Captain Lee and Zhang Xing rushed forward to help, but the beast's gaze fell upon them. They froze, completely. Their bodies refused to move, as if death itself was staring them down. And then, the monster unleashed another ability, Soul Lament. A horrifying cry born from the depths of its very soul. The sound spread like violent waves, covering everything within 100 meters. Anyone caught within it suffered relentless damage, every second draining their strength, tearing at their very existence. As the sound echoed, people began to collapse. One by one, they fell unconscious, dropping where they stood. And amidst that devastation, at the very spot where Uncle Two had fallen, a massive crater had formed. For a moment, everything was still. Then, his fingers twitched. He was still alive. Slowly, painfully, he began to rise. But the cost was clear. One of his arms was gone. For a brief second, shock flashed across his face. Yet even then he understood. The beast was not dead. It still stood, free, powerful, unstoppable. And so, gathering what strength he had left, Uncle Two let out a fierce roar. "As long as there's breath left in my body, I will fight you. I won't let you take another step forward." Uncle Two had made up his mind. No matter the cost, he would stop the monster, because he knew, if it escaped, chaos would spread far and wide. Gathering his remaining strength, he stepped forward once again, ready to attack. But then, the Blood Moon Devourer moved. Its visceral jaws opened wide, and in an instant, a terrifying power was unleashed. The inside of its mouth twisted into something like a black hole, a swirling vortex of destruction. A crushing gravitational force spread across a 500-meter radius, pulling everything toward it. Every second, it drained life, ripping away strength with unstoppable force. The ground cracked. Debris lifted. Hava itself bent toward that monstrous pull. Everything was being dragged in, and in the midst of it all, Uncle Two stood, pushed to his absolute limit. One arm gone, eyes blazing, his body radiating a fierce, burning aura. "This is my last stand," he roared. "I will stop you, no matter what." But the pressure only grew stronger. The Avia turned heavy, suffocating. Even Uncle Two could no longer resist. Slowly, helplessly, he began to be pulled toward the beast. And with that, the chapter comes to an end. We'll continue this story in the next chapter. Until then, take care of yourself and your loved ones.